It's it is the Toffee Blues Late Night Live with Forrest and Quinn. We've got 2 people watching us already. I might as well just end the show now because that's great. Welcome to week 3 of this fantastic show with me, myself, Forrest, and Quinn, my compatriot and co-host. Quinn, how are you doing?
I am good. I am tired. I feel like it's like 11 p.m. and it's only 8, but I could sleep. But doing well. Overall, can't complain. What about you?
Yeah, I'm about the same. I'm pretty tired. Thankfully, no COVID this week. I did hurt my back at the gym, but that is neither here nor there because it's fine now. And I'm here able to sit upright without feeling like I am getting stiff as a board and talk with you, my lovely friend, and eventually these amazing people that are going to leave so many comments for us to talk about. We already have one from our lovely friend Irvin Kuman again, but we'll get to that later on. Today, we don't have too much to talk about. We're going to talk about the match against Sheffield United. We're going to look ahead to Arsenal on the final day, which, you know, is just our final day every season from now on till the end of time because the Premier League says so. We're going to talk a good amount about Seamus Coleman. Obviously, he has a contract on the table that is still yet to be signed. And whether or not next week might be his last ever appearance for Everton really brings things into focus. I say next week, it's really Sunday, but really brings things into focus of, you know, what he has been for the club. We're going to touch a little bit on this horrible number that's becoming my least favorite number in the world, 777, and all the crap that's going on with this takeover stuff. I don't even know where to start with that. We'll get there eventually. And then we're going to do our Q&A at the end. Before we talk about that, this is not a Hurricanes jersey, but go Canes. I like the Whalers jersey. I like it. Go Canes. Reverse sweep against the Rangers. Let's go. 4-1 last night in Madison Square Garden. Lots of sad Rangers fans. That's okay. They can still win a game and knock us out, so I'm not going to get too cocky. But, yeah.
4 unanswered goals in the third, though, Forrest. That was, wild game at Madison Square Garden, like you said. They could do it. They looked good. They looked real good last night.
It was good to see. It's nice, you know. So the Hurricanes are like the one sports team I have to grab onto that have like this glimmer of hope of winning a good amount of like a good trophy, like the championship. Because the Panthers rebuild, the Hornets, I don't know. And Everton, you know, it's kind of we say rebuild administration. It's a lot of different things. But yes, go Hurricanes. And now we can begin looking back at Everton 1, Sheffield United 0. I sit there, we say we'll look back at it. What is there really to say about a game against an already relegated team when you're already safe and it's the second to last game of the season? All you want is 3 points because God forbid we go into administration before the end of, what is it, like the May 16th? I don't know. There's some cutoff where we can't get another points deduction if we go into administration.
Well, May 16th is in 2 days, so.
Exactly. Right. I can see the date right here in my computer, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, just let you know.
Thanks. Yeah. So Everton 1, Sheffield United 0. Any initial thoughts, Quinn?
Yeah, if I'm totally honest, where I watched the game was I watched it on my phone at a college graduation. So I sat there at a college graduation, put the game on my phone.
Right.
So, yeah, but it felt refreshing to watch a game and be like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We're winning.
Yeah.
Played fine. I mean, just felt like fine is the word that I would use.
I agree. It was, I would say it was a pretty draft match. I watched, I would say, maybe 45 minutes of it in total. Typically these Saturday and Sunday games, I work 9 to 5 on the weekend. So I don't typically get to see, let me just break that up. I don't typically get to see the full match unless I decide to just not do any work in the restaurant at all and just stay in the office and watch the match. I only do that if we're playing, it's a decent game and it matters. And that wasn't a big deal, especially and I didn't even take the time to go back and watch the match again because 1, it's a dead rubber. It doesn't really matter. And 2, a 1-0 game, like watching that back and knowing when the goal is going to come, you're kind of like, well, after that goal is gone, man, like, is there really much else I need to see or care about? Any patterns of play that really matter? We played well. Dwight McNeil had his usual, thunderbolt from basically midfield. But we good enough to win. I think the one takeaway I have from the match is that the Sheffield United fans were very good, despite the fact that they were relegated. And one thing, I think a lot of Evertonians mentioned this, and obviously it's become a point of contention at Goodison, but whenever opposition fans like to sing Feed the Scousers or sing that sign-on song, and we flashed the food bank sign-on, Sheffield United fans did not even sing that once, and I really, really respect them for that. It is really easy for away fans when they come to Goodison, or even when they go to Anfield as well, to get down to their lowest base point and sing chants like that. I don't get it. It's I understand it's like the tribalism thing of British football, but it's just stupid. I mean, it's just as stupid as us going to Chelsea and singing Chelsea Red Boys or something like that. It's ridiculous. It needs to be left in the past. Find other ways to make fun of fans. Talk about the lack of success. Talk about the fact that we might go bust. Don't talk about the fact that the city has had a bad reputation. Don't talk about the fact that you don't like Scousers, because you know what? At the end of the day, Scousers are better than you. And that's just the way it is.
You tell them. Heck yeah.
I'm telling them.
Yeah, I've only heard good things. Obviously, neither of us were there, but have only heard good things about the Sheffield United support that traveled and was at the game, and which is always good. It's just good to, and vice versa. I mean, there were multiple statements made back about the Everton support with them coming and already being relegated. So, yeah, I mean, good to hear. Overall, a game that didn't mean anything for either side, and a nice, beautiful day in Liverpool, it looked like.
Yeah.
Just a good day to go watch some football that doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It always matters when it's Everton, though, right? You still get that familiar little drop in your stomach when the opposition have the ball in our half. Not when Jared Brantwaite's playing, though. Gosh, I love that guy. Man, I swear, when he leaves, and I really hope, because there's been some reports today that United are putting in a £55 million bid for him, right? My camera's going to go all fuzzy right now. That's awesome. I mean, I really hope that he and his entourage are much smarter than going to United, because that club is just a mess right now. I'd imagine, and I think he's playing at a much higher level, so he probably deserves to be playing. Honestly, I mean, he Champions League football. Wherever that is, I hope it's at Real Madrid in Spain, just not in England. I would love to see him never play for another English club, but he's an Englishman. He's probably going to go. Regardless, any final thoughts on Everton 1, Sheffield United 0, Quinn?
I always love watching the players walk around the last home game. I mean, just the home game, lap of honor. That's always fun. Just like I've always said, would love to be there for that. And then I think about next season and I'm like, how on earth am I going to get there for that? It's like probably not happening. But
I mean, next season, that lap of honor at Goodison next season, the final one, that's going to be a pricey ticket.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine. I also can't even imagine the emotions that I would feel, and I mean, have been there multiple times and whatnot, and love it, but can't even imagine the emotions that are like so much stronger for those who have gone since they started walking.
Genuinely, yeah,
been there for years. So yeah, I think that that's such a fun thing that football clubs do. It's just not a thing in any of the American sports, really. And so, but I love that. I've always loved it. I think it's great, and fun to see. So fun to see them with their their families, like all these little kids running around and Everton kids, and it's just like one of those fun moments. And it was a moment where I think everyone could enjoy watching it without this we're safe. We're fine. They won the game. Beautiful day. Like just out there singing.
No boo boys. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. It is. The lap of honor is always a unique part of the end of the season. And it's really nice to be able to enjoy it and not have like that. Just the whole, gosh, this club is on the downward turn. Everybody's just relaxed. We did what we needed to do, stayed up. Now we can, switch off a little bit and focus on who takes us over and then our own lives in the summer.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so we do have one game left in the season. Gosh,
we sure do.
Left in the season. It is a doozy because one of these teams actually has something still to play for. Arsenal, if you saw today, I'm sure you did, that City beat Tottenham, which means they are in the driver's seat for the title once again. Good for them. I don't care. Like who the heck is Manchester City? Like, come on now. They're still a tiny little club to me, and I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings from that. But yes, Arsenal versus Everton, last day of the season. We went there at the end of last season, and what was it? 5-0, 5-1?
Yeah, we got
it?
absolutely waxed. Absolutely. Yeah. They wiped the floor with us.
Yeah.
But we were safe. We were safe going into that final day,
I said last season. The season before. Oh my gosh. It was Bournemouth last season.
Yeah,
I'm
two
crazy.
seasons ago.
2 seasons ago. When am I going?
Because we were not safe on the last day of the season last year. But yeah, 2 seasons ago going to Arsenal away after the Crystal Palace game prior to that. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the one question I have to ask you, Quinn, is this a game we could win?
It's yes is the answer. Obviously, we could win it. We put an 11 out there. We could compete, obviously. And I think we have a better chance of winning it now because City won today. Had City not won, and I watched the game, somewhat watched, had the game on in my office while I was working, and so I was glancing. The first half, I really thought Tottenham was going to do it. I thought that Tottenham was going to take a point at least, and then I thought for sure this weekend would be. Yeah, I think if Arsenal was 100% in it, and they are still 100% in it, but if they had a genuine chance where I thought City's not going to screw up this weekend, I think the match would be tougher on Sunday. But
I just got a thought. Let me see. Are all the games on at the same time on Sunday?
Yep.
They are, aren't they? Yeah,
yep,
they are.
Yep.
Okay, so all the games are on at the same time, which means at Arsenal, every single one of those fans is going to be tuning into their phones, checking the score of the City match.
Yep.
You watch. It's going to be 0-0. City are going to score in the first 2 minutes against West Ham. The City are going to beat West Ham. They're going to win the title. I'm going to give you that prediction right now. I don't think this David Moyes last game. I don't know. He'll have his pride and stuff, and they'll have their pride and say, "Oh, we have to go out here and show up." But I think City are going to smack West Ham around. I think it'll be like a 4-0, 5-0 game, and that'll be it. What's going to happen? City are going to score in the first 10 minutes, and this Arsenal team are just going to crumble because they're going to be like, well, we just can't win the league now. And because that information will get to them one way or the other.
Oh, yeah.
As much as Arteta will try not to let it get to them, it will come from the groans around the stadium.
Yeah, you'll be able to tell.
That stadium will react. Everybody will know. Those players' heads are going to drop, and we might be able to take advantage of that. And that'd be really cool to see us. Because I won't lie, I kind of have a small soft spot for Arsenal. I don't support them. I don't look out for the results. I don't really care. But if I never supported Everton and I had to choose another team to support, it'd probably be Arsenal because they're a nice big club. They're still to an extent a proper football club. They don't have scandals. And they're also a club that kind of like goes through their own weird drama all the time. Like just have weird things. Like I think back to like Olivier Giroud getting caught cheating on his wife before like an FA Cup final, and he's not playing in the FA Cup final anymore because he like pulled himself out. That was years ago now. Really, when I think about it, gosh, how long ago was that? Maybe like 8 years ago, 7 years. Regardless, they have their weird drama like we do, where it's just weird, random things that happen to them as a club. But regardless, I agree that we could beat them. It depends how motivated we really are and how much we want to show up. I think that we'll probably end up losing 2-0, 2-1, something along those lines. But I don't think we're going to necessarily show up, all guns blazing. I think a lot of these players aren't going to want to get hurt before the summer. They're not going to want to be on the treatment table.
Yep.
So I'm not expecting too much from it. I will tune in. I will enjoy watching us for one more game, knowing that we're safe. And hoping that we can find a way to beat a big team away from home. But I'm not going to be devastated if we don't. I'm not even going to be devastated if we lose 6-0 again. Because you know what? Like it's a little embarrassing, but at the same time, the season's over. Just let it be what it is, and we can move on and try to enjoy the summer.
Yeah, I would slightly disagree with. I would be disappointed if we lost 6-0. I would totally be disappointed.
Sure,
However, I would rather see Arsenal win the league than City. If City blows it and Arsenal beats us 1 or 2-0 or 2-1, whatever, I'd be all right. I think if we go out, we play a decent game. I mean, obviously, I want to see us win. I never want to see us lose. Like,
Sure.
however, if you take us out of it, I would want to see Arsenal win and City lose it on the last day of the
Agreed. Yeah.
season. No matter. I mean, yeah. And so, yeah, if we play a good game, get some kids some minutes and some experience, I am fine with that. And I would love to see a David Moyes masterclass in his last game at West Ham. I mean, I don't think it will happen either. I'm not out here thinking that is the case. However, there's this little part of me that's like, I don't know if you saw, but NBC announced that they will be at the Emirates, not at the City game. And so I'm like, ooh, could you imagine the scenes if... Anyway, all that to say, I just think it would be really cool to see Arsenal win the league, and in a dramatic fashion. That would be amazing. Yeah. But I'm not banking on it. I don't see City slipping up. And yeah, I just don't see them slipping up. I see them winning on Sunday, but I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I would like us to not get absolutely demolished on Sunday. I would like us to have a little bit of pride going into this.
Okay, fair enough. All right, you're right. I was a little hasty saying I don't care if we lose 6-0 again. That would hurt.
But the sentiment is true. It's the season's over.
Right.
Yeah.
I did not know that NBC was going to be at the Emirates. So they really like want this Arsenal title just for the scenes they'll get, for the atmosphere. They're going to have former Arsenal players in their booth. It's going to be interesting. And you mentioned like I wonder what team he's going to put out. I'm really interested in that.
I know there's a little part of me. There is a little part of me that's I don't think he'll change very much. I would love to see him change it. I said I would have loved to see a 4-4-2 last week. Didn't happen.
Right, with Kermit.
Yeah, Yusuf and Dom up front. I still would love to see that. Would love to see some of the kids get some minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't see many changes from last weekend, if I'm honest. I could see the same team starting, and
he doesn't seem like Deitch doesn't seem like kind of manager just to throw kids on just for the sake of giving them some minutes as well.
Yeah.
In terms of like starting a game. Yes, Dobbin got a run out in the second half last week. It didn't really seem to do much, unfortunately. But he'll give him a run out in an appropriate measure. But he's not going to say throw them to the wolves and be like, well, hey, good luck. Do something. He's not that kind of manager. He's got a bit more of a professionalism about him than that. All right, score prediction.
I think we'll lose 3-1.
3-1.
Most people don't throw losses out there, but I do. I think 3-1.
I think it'll be 4-4. A la that Manchester United away match way back in the day.
Oh my gosh, February. That was February of 2012.
Wow.
I think February of 2012. It was like the winter.
Was it? I thought it was way later in the season.
Well, it was that spring. Whatever. After it was that second half of the season of 2012.
Well, because that result basically gave City the league that season, or gave them the opportunity to win the league, which they went on and did. Pretty sure. Gosh, am I crazy? Are we crazy?
It was definitely 2012 because I went over the next season to United away and was like, I know this isn't going to end the same way it did last year.
With
my luck, of course. Yeah, and it's so much better. We lost 2-0.
Oh, I thought you went to the one where we won 1-0.
No.
I swear you went to that one. Well,
nope.
I swear you did.
I've watched quite a few poor away matches. Lost at Old Trafford. Lost at Southampton when was it Charlie Austin scored in the first minute and stood there for 90 minutes, and watched us lose at West Ham last season. Yikes. So tough away record.
It's nice that we share the experience of watching us lose to Southampton, because I also watched us lose to Southampton, two own goals. One of them in the 3rd minute from Seamus Coleman, one of them in like the 20th minute from Anton Alcaraz. And that basically like destroyed any hope we had of getting top 4 that season. So that's good that we have that shared experience.
I don't know which one's worse. I don't know, because I guess conceding in the 3rd minute. I mean, the 1st minute's pretty tough.
Yeah. That was an awful game, honestly. That was such a bad game. We played so bad. Regardless, we're not going to look
We're
at the
not
past. We're
talking
going to look
there. We're not
forward.
talking about that.
Oh,
Nope.
except we are going to talk about the past because we've got to talk about our main Irish crush, Seamus Coleman,
Yes.
the guy with the highest cheekbones in the squad. What
I
a
love
guy.
Seamus Coleman.
I do too. Man, oh, where do we begin with Seamus? Well, let's start with the present day. He has a contract on the table, and through that contract, he, you know how contracts work. Maybe he'll still play for us. Maybe he'll go back and play for Sligo. I don't know. Probably not Sligo, but he has an offer on the table from the club, and he's come out and said that it's very hard to walk away from something you love so much. Which, if you read between the lines, kind of sounds like he might walk away from Everton and go on and play somewhere else, wherever that may be. Would that hurt?
There is a little part of me that was scared when that statement was made because I think he will resign. I actually lean that way. However, I do think he will have a genuine think about it. You know, like I don't think it's the club proposes a new deal, no matter how good it is for him, whatever it looks like. Yeah, he's not just signing it without thinking. And so
Yeah,
that's tough.
I agree. Yeah, I do think he'll sign as well. Oh, man, like I do, but there's this small part of me that's like, I think he probably feels like he only has one more year of football in him. The guy has had multiple very bad injuries, bad leg breaks. You know, it's amazing that he can play at the level he can with the kind of injuries he's had in his career and the way he's been able to come back from them. But I do think that he will sign at the end of the day. As much as like there's a part of me that really thinks that he's going to leave and play. I really don't know where else he would play. That's kind of the issue. Because where else has he played other than Sligo and Everton? He had a loan at Blackpool. Was there anywhere else? I don't think that there was. So I can't imagine what other club he would go and play for unless maybe it's like a newly promoted club, like an Ipswich or like if he went to Leicester, I would be pretty upset with him. But
You think he would leave Everton to play for another team in the Premier League for his
another
final?
Premier League.
I don't think so.
I think it'll come down to how much he really wants to play, though. That's my hands all on my camera. That's really what's going to matter is how much he really wants to play. Because if he looks at the Everton contract and it's like, well, I'm going to be a bit part player, and there's already been links. There's been kind of tenuous links to us looking for another right back. Because to me, I don't think that Deitch has any time for Nathan Patterson. I do think he'll be on his way out the door, whether it's on loan for next season or somebody wants him on a permanent. I don't think he has a future at Everton, unfortunately, for whatever reason that Deitch doesn't like him. And there's been some links to who was it? Feyenoord's PSV's right back. There's like a Dutch right back. It was like a Japanese player playing in the Eredivisie that we were linked with. However, how much truth is in that? He might look at that contract and say, well, gosh, I'm only going to be a bit part player. I'm going to be getting cup runs and put out for rotation. And I feel like I could still play 30 something games in a season. Maybe he looks at a contract where he's going to be a bit part player and says, I don't think I want to do that. If I have one more year, I want to play as much as possible. So maybe I need to move on. Where he moves on, though, yes. I mean, will it be another Premier League club? Will it be a championship club? Will he go to? I could see him. Really, this would be kind of interesting. I could see him going to like Celtic in Scotland and enjoying a season there. Although I don't know what their situation with player personnel is at all, but I'd imagine he'd fit in very well there. He could probably get an opportunity to play Champions League football, which he hasn't ever really had. So it's really going to depend on what Coleman wants.
Yeah, I could see him going to Scotland. I could see him going to Scotland over again. I don't know what squads look like up there. Don't know what the situation is for some of those bigger clubs up in Scotland, but I could see him going there. I could see him going there prior or like a more priority than playing in the Premier League. I think next season being the final season in Goodison is a reason he will stay.
That is a very
versus
good
like
point.
I actually could see him probably leaving if that wasn't the case. But I think with the situation or just like the timing of it all, I could see him staying for that. But I would be really, really sad to see him leave.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to play. If he feels like he's fit and he can play, he would want to play, obviously, as any footballer would. But yeah, it would make me really, really sad to see him go. I think even though he hasn't seen the field, he's been the heart. I mean, he's always been the heartbeat, for the
Yeah.
last few seasons through it all. So it would be sad to see him go.
He's definitely somebody that lives and breathes Everton. He is the club captain for a reason. He is Mr. Everton right now. And I think that is again another really good point, Quinn. The fact that this is Goodison's last season coming up. I think he would probably look at the opportunity to be the last Everton captain at Goodison with a lot of pride.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maybe he should. I mean, you look at his statements and kind of, if you read between the lines or overanalyze it, maybe you think, well, gosh, maybe he is going to leave. But when you bring up that point, I think maybe he's just toying around. It's like, I'm going to sign that contract, but maybe I'll just let y'all sweat about it a little bit. Well, if we're under the consensus that he's going to stay, that's awesome. But if he doesn't stay, and worst case scenario, he leaves, let's talk about some of our favorite Seamus Coleman moments.
Oh my gosh.
What you got?
What is that game where he goes, I'm blanking? I looked this up earlier today and it has departed my mind. That where he starts celebrating and kicking the like boards at the end of the
Swansea away.
Yeah.
The long range goal. We did like a
Yes.
ridiculous goal outside of his foot. Just beautiful pinpoint right into the top corner, and he slides into the advertising boards and just starts kicking them and celebrating.
Yes. Oh, I mean, that moment is like him celebrating in that moment is how I know that he feels every time like we win. Like it just epitomizes his passion for the club where it like all comes out in one moment.
That emotion that he has. Yes, he's a very emotional guy for sure.
Yeah.
In a good way, he doesn't, I mean, he shows, he's feisty. He stands up for his teammates. He stands up for the club, which honestly, I mean, if there's anything you can really say about Seamus Coleman is the fact that he has always stood up to be counted for this club. He has always took on the responsibility. It's why he's club captain. He's always took on the responsibility of being Everton, of being this club, of representing the fans, of representing the team. And it's a real honor to have somebody who lives and breathes your club like that, because you know that every time they get on that pitch, they're going to give as best of a performance as they can. For me, that is a really great moment. I'm glad you brought that up because that was really good. For me, it is that match when we beat Arsenal at home 3-0, the one that you got to go to, and I'm so jealous, where he just decides to start just showing off and like doing like literally running with the ball, doing keep ups down the right hand side, and then doing like a little turn around. I think it was Nacho Monreal, and just leaving him in the dust. And Nacho's like, what the heck, guy? Like totally like, why would you just do me like that? Like that little bit of flair and that confidence that he has, when that was his prime. That was Seamus Coleman's prime, man. That first Martinez season into that Europa League campaign next year was his best couple of seasons, where he was just on it. And him and Baines had that partnership going from left to right. I think they assisted each other a couple times both those seasons. They were just really, really special to see him in those moments. And when you really think and look back at Seamus Coleman and who he was when he came in, and when you imagine like a 60,000 pound player, the song, he comes from Ireland, no reputation whatsoever, goes on loan to Blackpool, comes back. I think his first match back, I could be wrong about the timing of this. I know he played in a match where we played against Benfica at the Champions League qualifier, and we lost like 4-0 or 5-0 or something. I didn't really support the club at the time, so it's a little hazy for me. But there where he was kind of written off right away, like wow, like because I think Tony Hibbert played center back that game. But it was a bit of like a weird situation for Everton at the time. But he really turned himself and showed that work ethic and continued to grow himself as a player and commit himself to becoming better, which is probably what David Moyes saw in him all along, was a player who would run through walls for you.
Mhm.
And he continued to show that throughout his time here at Everton. When you think back to like some of his best goals, I think his best one is probably that Swansea one
Yeah.
that you brought up where he kicked the advertising board after. That was a fantastic goal. You think about, and there's another one he scored. I think it was that same season. It was against Southampton at home, where he just takes it. He cuts to the outside and he just smacks it just right to the top corner, just perfect little angled finish into the top corner. Like the guy really had so much confidence and had such a sweet strike of the ball and just knew he was such a smart player. And it's really disappointing to me to see Nathan Patterson not really get the opportunity, because there are moments when Patterson has played that I've seen the what's the word, the influence of Seamus Coleman in
Mhm.
some of his play, and the way he's trying to get these little balls down to the overlapping winger who's coming around him, where he's setting himself up to shape up for the cross and play a ball infield. There were these moments where you could see that Coleman has tried to work with Patterson on that game, and it's just another great representation of who Seamus Coleman is as a leader, as somebody who's willing to pass on that information and teach and mentor these younger players. Obviously, it has not worked for Patterson so far, and that's not Coleman's fault, right? Like, it's not his job to get that guy on the pitch, but it really just it's going to be real raw to see if he were to decide to go. It'll be real raw to see that.
Yeah. I it's funny. I don't think there's a player, and I loved Leighton Baines. I mean, loved him. Loved Rom. I mean, there's a handful of players that I loved and was sad to see go, but there's just this like even if he leaves, and Leighton Baines retiring at the end of the COVID season, I think is such just like an unfortunately timed reality.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
And so there was a lot of sadness of that, of like, oh, we didn't even like nobody got to celebrate him well. He wasn't like sent. I mean, yeah, he's still with the club and with the academy, but it just doesn't feel like he got a good send off. And it's it's like this, the I don't know how to put it into words, but almost like this breakup where you both still want to be together, but like the timing is, I don't know, where it's like you're just like heartbroken. That's
mhm.
how I would feel if he left at the end of this season, of like
Yeah.
just devastation. It makes me so sad even thinking about it. I just think all the moments and everything are great. Goals are great. His skills as a footballer in his prime, great. But I just think, not, I just think, I don't think anyone would argue. He is like Everton to a T. And
Mm.
he, you hear it. Nobody has a bad thing to say about him. Anyone outside of the club, inside of the club, him as a person, as a human, his character, his, I mean, that whole Frank Lampard saying that he's never met anyone better. What did he say to like one of his kids? Like, your dad is the greatest man. It was like the last day of
Something
the
along those
season.
lines.
Yeah,
I
something along
remember.
those lines.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I believe every single person who has said that. And he's just, yeah, I would be devastated to see him go for way more reasons than him actually what he does on the pitch. I think
Mm.
just him, his presence at the club is something that would be insanely missed in the role as club captain. I mean, even if he stayed around, yeah, welcome back, Forrest. Even if he stayed around, like in another capacity with the club and didn't go play somewhere else, it wouldn't be the same, you know? So,
No, it would. It would be really tough to see him in another club's kit, and and God forbid he had to play against Everton. Like, it would be just so tough to stomach that,
yeah.
because he would be a consummate professional and continue to give his all, regardless of whether he was playing against us or not.
Yep.
Well, I think maybe the only last question I have about Seamus, is when you talk about club icons and club legends, um, a lot of times what the focus is on what have they won with the club?
Mm-hmm.
What have they done? How have they improved the club's trophy cabinet, their pedigree, their standing in the game? Um, and because we haven't won something in so long, I think for a lot of fans, there has been a lack of club legends. Which when you identify a club legend, it's somebody who's won something for your club. For most fans, they say it's somebody who's won something for your club. It's somebody who's come in and been the best of the best for your club. Um, and so with that being said, and that little formula for what makes a club legend being out there, what would you say Seamus Coleman is to Everton in terms of his longevity at the club, in terms of his status? What is he? Is he a legend? Is he an icon? He's obviously not just another player.
Yep.
That goes without saying. He is not just somebody who came and went.
Yeah.
Um, what is he to Everton?
That's a good question. I think the word icon in my mind is flashy, and so I would not
Mm,
peg Seamus Coleman as an icon necessarily, and
mm,
a legend. Yes, people do use the what has he won. However, when you look at the last few seasons of him being club captain and where we have been as a club fighting relegation, all the bogus with financial fair play and points deductions this season, I do still think legend is a fair term to use, as he has been one of those lifelines in the club, I think, that has kept the club fighting, and players fighting who don't don't get it,
okay.
are new to the club, are not as bought in
Yeah.
to
Mm.
yeah, I mean the
The
club.
ethos. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think, yes, it is hard to say someone is a legend when they didn't win anything, especially outside of the club. People
Yeah.
outside of the club would not say,
Yes.
"Think of an
Exactly.
Everton legend, who do you think of?"
Right.
Seamus Coleman isn't the name that you're gonna hear from somebody who doesn't support the club. However, the last few years, I think where we've been at, if we had sat mid-table every single year that he played for us, it might be a little harder to give you a reason of, hey, we didn't win
Mm.
anything. We finished somewhere between 6th and 12th every season he played, like, yeah, it would be hard for me to sit here and I still think it, how can I sell it to someone? But I think because of the last few seasons where we've been at the bottom, we've been fighting, and you can see he wears it. I mean,
Yeah.
he feels it
It
like every
affects them.
supporter in the ground feels it. And
Big
so
time. Yeah.
I do still think I would use the word legend over icon. Maybe there's a better word. I mean,
I know the better word. I can tell you in a second.
okay. You tell me the better word. So
He's a club hero. He is a hero
sure.
at this club.
Yeah.
I think especially when you brought up a really good point about the fact that he's been here. Um, he's been here for so long, and been through so many different iterations of Everton. I think that that's a big thing for me. He has been here with David Moyes when we were fighting for the top six every year. Been here, you know, when we were Martinez and we were trying to fight for the top four, and then trying to fight for Europe and trying to find a way to get out of mid-table. He was here through the manager carousel that we had with
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Koeman, with Sam Allardyce, Marco Silva, David Unsworth, and Frank Lampard, and now Sean Dyche.
Don't
He's
forget
been
Carlo. How can we forget that? I mean, Carlo
that's
Ancelotti
a
managed Everton for us. Come
fever
on.
dream. That was a football manager save. Don't even talk about that.
Hey, it's real. I just have to say it so that we all remember that it
this
actually
this
happened.
it's fever dream. I can't believe it. God forbid that he had one more season. We probably would have won the league. But he has been here through some really, what Bill Kinwright would say is some good times. The late Bill Kinwright, I should say. And then he's been here through some very, very tough times at this club, which is our recent history. And I would say that hero befits him very well because he has been a hero for this club. He and in terms he's and we have a nice comment here from Dean Ambrose. I had the luck to work in Coleman's house, and I'll put it up here real quick. I had the luck to work in Coleman's house. Let me tell you, he is one of the nicest people I've ever met. And yes, he will soon be a legend. Come on, you please keep up the good work. Amen. Thank you, Dean. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody would begrudge calling Seamus Coleman a legend. I say hero just because the legend moniker comes with titles for me. It does not diminish his reputation at the club. It does not diminish the fact that he has been an incredible servant for this club and will probably continue to be involved with this club when he decides to retire in some capacity, because that's just it's the way we operate as a club. We like to keep the people that mean a lot to us close by, but it also is probably just his goal to continue to work in football. I think he has a passion for the game too much. But he's a club hero to me. He's a player who bleeds Everton and will always bleed Everton. And I think that really speaks volumes. And he never, and the main thing here, he never once even gave any inkling of an idea that he wanted to leave, even at his best, even when David Moyes left for United. Excellent, Dean. Yes, he's a hero to us all. Thank you, brother. Even when Moyes left for United, even when they people wanted to poach him, he never even gave a thought, never went to anyone in the press and said, yeah, I could do that. I could go to Arsenal. I could go to Chelsea. He never once even made anybody question his loyalty to this club. And that in and of itself, in this modern age we live in, where it's so easy to tempt a footballer with the idea of more money or Champions League football or whatever it is, he always wanted that success at Everton. And that speaks so much about his reputation with this club, his reputation with the fans, and just his reputation in the game in general. That sets him apart from so many other players, and it really means a lot, because he never wanted to be a mercenary. He just wanted to be a Blue, and that means a lot.
Yeah. Wow. I can't add to that. I mean, but I would agree. Hero is a good word. Hero is a good word.
Well, I could use a hero. I'm pretty hungry right now. By the way, hero in America is a sub. I don't even know if you guys call them subs. I guess you have Subway. You call them a sub.
Did you just say a hero is a sub?
It's like in some places a hero is a sub. Is it in like New York or something? Look it up. Google it real quick. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Not in the Midwest. Everyone watching, that's not a Midwest thing. I can assure you that.
Man, we might have to have an episode about American slang.
I've never heard that before. A euro or a
euro. But that's a different sandwich. A hero.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad we're just nailing down that those are different things and you're just not pronouncing it like that. So good. I can get behind that statement. But
moving on. We're gonna talk really briefly about everybody's least favorite thing ever.
Yeah. Tell me what you think first.
Here's what I think. I cannot believe, I mean, whatever. From what I'm seeing from some of the people who are closer to the situation and closer to, they're more connected at the club. It was always going to be, yes, this deal was going to run till the end of the month. It's just the main thing for me is that this has become such a public nuisance and a public battle that it is really, really hard to, I mean, it's not hard to care because it affects the club future, but it's really hard to be so invested in it because it just seems like there's so much contradicting information. There's so much drama that the fact that their name is even still anywhere close to being linked with this club is absurd to me. It is absurd. It blows my mind that Fard Mashiri would even get into bed with him in the first place. And to see, and there's these pictures that have been floating around of him smiling and shaking hands with members of the 777 board. It almost knocks me sick now when all these revelations that have come out, that all the bull crap they're doing, all the horrible, like when you think about like shady American businessmen, people like 777 are what come to mind, right? These backdoor deals, like double loaning assets to people and using them as collateral. It's ridiculous. And we're losing viewers talking about it, even mentioning it right now. So, Quinn, do you have anything else to add before we just move on to Q&A? Because it's ridiculous and I'm going blurry again.
I just can't believe that none of this came out in doing homework. You know, like you said, how did we even get in bed with 777 in the first place?
It's the kind of thing that you feel like this is going to be a documentary about one day, like
totally.
Like and so run an ownership group can be.
Yes, and I do think even the fact, again, I'm not close to the situation. Amen. Ditch 777.
Amen.
All the things that are coming out, I'm also surprised that, yeah, we're giving them till the end of the month now. It's like, what? This is ridiculous. It's a show. It's just a show where it's like, of course, we're in shambles. Mashiri seems to be like just playing games, so why not extend the game another few weeks?
Yeah.
Like, but to me, it just seems like a joke. It's a sick joke that we're still in conversation, in my opinion.
I agree.
So
what did Kinwright say? It's audible, but it's Everton. It's this is just kind of like par for the course for us as Evertonians, is dealing with clowns running the club. And I want to be really careful calling Kinwright a clown, but I do not think we can have an episode talking about Bill Kinwright one day. I don't really think that he ran this club to the best of it, in terms of like not to the best of his ability, but in a way that really made the club grow. I don't really want to get into all that right now because that is a topic for another day.
Yep.
We are going to move on. We're about 46 minutes in. Don't want to go too much longer. We're going to move on to our Q&A portion. Anybody who's watching right now, please feel free to ask us a question about anything and everything Everton related or Hero related. Hero, the sandwich. Come on. It was a callback. You didn't even, whatever.
I ignored it. Sorry.
So our first question, once again, comes from our lovely friend, Irvin Kuman. Continues to take time off to watch us. We really appreciate it, Irvin. His question is, hello, USA Toffees. My question for you is, would you give Ashley Old a new contract? But I think he has got a lot of stick that is not fair. Quinn, you answer first because my camera's fuzzy again.
Yeah, you sort that out. I would totally agree that I think he's gotten a lot of stick that's unfair. I would give him a short-term contract, not some crazy long-term contract, but I think he's also gotten a decent amount of stick that is undeserved or unwarranted. It's just one of those easy to jump on and give negative.
Sure.
Or complain about. Older. Obviously, he's not the player that he used to be. He's getting older. I mean, he's almost 40. I mean, like, of course, he's slower, of course. But I think the experience that he's brought to the team has been great. There's been little moments where you can see game management that he has from his experience that others don't have on the pitch that has played very useful in games. And so, yeah, I could see him. I wouldn't be upset if we sign him for a year, maybe 2 years. But I mean, I don't think any more than that. I don't imagine him playing until he's 45. But yeah, I would agree. I think he gets a lot of stick that is unwarranted. But I wouldn't be upset to see him play for us next season.
I don't think he deserves a new contract. I think that he will continue to just go downhill in terms of his ability and his physical ability. I don't think that he has had a great season. I don't think he's had an awful season. I think he's been somebody who's made mistakes this season. All the stick that he's gotten probably isn't completely warranted, but we also, as Evertonians, tend to just give stick out when we're doing bad, just left, right, and center. There are moments this season where you can point and say, well, gosh, like he really should not, be in that position. You think of like getting sent off in the first half against Liverpool. You think of those 3 possible penalties he could have had. Who the heck was that against? Why am I blanking on that?
I think I thought we weren't saying their names. Those penalties. You didn't want to talk about them.
I don't even remember who it's against. That's the issue.
What?
Doesn't matter. I don't remember.
Well, they're safe, unfortunately.
Oh, Nottingham. That's right. Thank you. Notts. I said Nottingham. Notts Forest. Yeah, there have been moments this season where he just hasn't been good enough. And I would say that we could probably find somebody who can play or be the flexibility that he has. That's maybe younger. There are, you can see that he has a lot of experience, but he's also somebody who's a bit of a hothead too. His emotions kind of run through, and I think you can tell that he's a player that used to have it all and doesn't anymore and isn't really able to cope with that fully. that shows in some of the tackles he throws in, that shows in the attitude he kind of has on the pitch, where he doesn't totally like whatever. You don't need to totally respect your opponent on the pitch, but when you go and rile them up and get them angry to the point where they want to take you on more and more, you make it harder on the rest of your teammates because you're sitting there getting your opponents mad and making them play that extra bit harder and extra bit better. And you don't want that. You need to play the game, and he plays the game sometimes, but he has those moments where he loses his head. If he gets offered a new contract, nope, it's not going to offend me. I'm not going to be like, oh, why do we do that? But I personally, no, I would say thank you for your year, Ashley. Good luck wherever you decide to go next, which will probably be like a Leicester or Ipswich.
I think he's coming to America. I think
like Giroud.
Yeah.
Dude, the second I saw that Giroud, where was that?
He's LA.
Right, but
where was before?
Wherever he was at before, I was like,
because he was playing with Christian. He was playing with Christian Pulisic.
I was like, oh yeah, that guy's going to MLS. No doubt about it. That was he was destined. That guy is destined for MLS. There's just certain players you're just like, yeah, that's MLS right there. Ashley Young's not MLS. That guy wants to play in England.
Sure. I mean, the only thing I would add to my statement based on yours is I think everyone would say if we found some young kid who has the same ability as him, obviously we would sign somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm not
going to sign that guy and not actually old.
Totally. Obviously, if you have two players standing in front of you with the same ability and one's late 30s and one's even mid 20s, it's like
it's no brainer.
So
all right. Thanks. Point proven. All right.
With context.
Our next question, if we move on, comes from our good friend Blue Tit Boy. Sorry for cursing, I guess. Who says, with the recent revelations, with the recent revelations that Mashiri has extended the time for potential sale to 7 to 7-7, which goes against what Bobble tweeted last Friday, do you trust any ITK? Honestly, when I was like 19, I would follow up on these ITKs all the time and be like, oh my gosh, we're going to sign, Lionel Messi. Like, oh, holy cow, Lionel Messi's at the Titanic in Liverpool. Like, I just don't take the time to read the things they have to say. It's interesting. Like I'll check Twitter, and if there's a big drama going on, I'll kind of look through. And there's certain people, yes, like Benji Winstanley. But we both have a real good ITK and our close friend who's pretty connected at the club. So he's somebody that we can go to where we don't have to go to Twitter to look for that stuff. So yeah, any Americans, you want some ITK news? It's $25 a tip. We split that. You do not have to tip us afterwards. Tipping culture is not here. It's okay. But if you want, we can get any information you need. If you want to know what the new up and coming Slovakian kid in the academy is like, we'll let you know.
You just have to pay up front for information.
Exactly. Up front. Dang. Yeah. Straight. And it's not a video call. We're going to text it to you, and it's real cryptic. You have a code you have to decipher.
Yep.
What do you think? Are there any ITKs you follow that you care?
No, I think you nailed it. It's like those handful of people that we know. Mm-hmm. I'll take them at their word before I would just jump on Twitter.
They're literally always right. That's the thing. Like always right. Because they know they're just that connected at the club. Sorry, y'all. We have that luxury.
We're not snitching though. We're not snitching.
Yeah. It's Quinn. All right. Anyways, so in the second question from our good friend Cedric, would you take James Rodriguez back for a last dance? If you did not see it, in Everton, I think it was Everton Hub or something, posted a thing about Rodriguez leaving his contract at the team he's playing for in Brazil, I think. And for whatever reason, James Rodriguez commented and said, one last dance, and did a couple of emojis, and that obviously got everybody like wet in their pants. Sure, I'd love to see James Rodriguez come back because I love the guy. None of us got to see him play, but it won't happen. It is what it is. The guy, if he wants to come back and play for $30K a week, heck, let's do it. But he wants more money than that. So.
He's a little too expensive for our taste at the moment. But
unfortunately,
could you imagine him and Richarlison? I mean, if we're doing a pipe dream, just a total pipe dream, I would cry. Dude. I would cry.
Just bring me back to Anfield, right? That nobody was at Anfield that game, but still,
yeah.
No, don't even bring up Richarlison. Nobody asked that question because no, it won't happen. That guy's going to go out of England probably, which will be really good for him. He'll go to Spain, he'll go to Germany or somewhere and do very well there. But at the end of the day, Richarlison maybe will come back to the club one day, but this club does not have the financial muscle to
No.
be able to sign a player of Richarlison's caliber or contractual obligation. So it is what it is. Next question is from Jay Colton. What was your favorite moment of the season, and what was the lowest point of the season? I'm going to let Quinn answer this first, and then I'm going to answer it because that's just what I want to do. So go.
I love that you're the boss.
Will you answer already?
Obviously, my favorite moment of the season was beating Liverpool. I mean, come on. Oh, it just felt so good. And I said this when we did our show after it. It was, not only was it amazing watching us win at Goodison, keep a clean sheet. I mean, it was, and we played well. It was a well-managed game. The confidence that Dom showed too after the game, I touched on that. But like the point that we scored and I felt like we're going to do it, where there was just this like belief for the first time and only time since I've supported the club where I thought we are actually going to win this. And just it was just weird, but it was amazing. I'm like, gosh. In a season with so much hard, to have the confidence that we could beat Liverpool. And before the game, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said I'm confident.
No,
I would have
confident.
said
No, yeah.
no.
Possible,
we could do it. Yeah, I
right.
totally would have said possible, but I would not have said I was confident. And after we scored that first goal, I was confident, which was so wild to even say.
Well, hold up. So hold up a second. I swear I saw a stat. I'm going to look this up real quick. So give me some grace. But from what I remember, we've won 14 games at Goodison this season, which is great, fantastic. But I don't think we've conceded a single goal in any game that we've won. No,
I think I heard someone talking about this on another show or another podcast this week.
We haven't won 14 games at Goodison. We haven't won 14 games all season.
No, but in our wins at Goodison Park this year, I don't think we've conceded a goal.
It's fantastic. What a club.
Someone made the comment of like, I don't remember who it was. It was on a show that I was doing.
Lowest point. What's your lowest point?
Well, I've already said this. This is a tough one because there's like the personal low, and then it's probably not the actual low of the season. Personal low was being at Goodison Park and watching West Ham score 2 goals after the 90th minute. It was awful. Listening to those West Ham supporters sing so loud, like just I was seething inside. Anyway, so that's personal low. I do think that there was this moment when I woke up and we were deducted points. It was almost like it's not going to happen. You hear it and you almost like anticipate this dread, but to actually have a notification on my phone saying that we had been deducted 10 points just felt like this is real. It's real. It felt this looming cloud that's like there for so long. And then just like the sky is falling when it actually happened. It just felt like we can't win. I don't know. Just like total deflation. So that one was tough for sure. In our winless run. I mean,
that was
that was so tough.
Dang, you just took the words right out of my mouth. My favorite moment was obviously as well the Derby win. Great to have Goodison enjoying that moment again. Great to have the fans get that unity with the players and with the club again. I think it's a big step in the right direction in terms of the mentality of the club. And the mentality is such an important part of this club. We are a club that is very much us against the world. But a lot of times that only shows in the way we support and win, but it doesn't show in the way we win. It doesn't show in the results we get. So that showing in the results that we get matters so much. It matters so much that we manifest that mentality into wins. And I can kind of relate it back. The Hurricanes are very much an us against the world kind of franchise as well. A lot of people don't like the Carolina Hurricanes. If you follow hockey, you probably don't like the Carolina Hurricanes if you're not a Hurricanes fan. And that's because the team itself has kind of adopted that mentality to kind of have the siege mentality towards like how they're going to treat every game. And it served them well. But yes, Everton is very much us against the world, and that manifesting in results where we get these big results that people don't expect us to get, it matters. Like we need to be able to get those results. We need to have some level of confidence and assuredness going into matches against teams like Liverpool. Because if you don't have that, if you go in with any sort of fear, they're going to tear you apart. And we've seen it so many times over the past God knows how many years. And then my lowest point, it was a winless run, but it really is more those early season home performances against teams like Luton, Wolves, Fulham, where you're really like, gosh, like what is in store for us this year? It was just so tough to see us perform so well and not get the result. And yes, like I was somebody who was like, well, the performances are going to show in the end, but it really like gave me this really sick feeling in my mouth for a while. Like, are we going to have to do the exact same thing? Are we going to have to fire a manager halfway through the season and find somebody new? Thank God it didn't come that way, but that was a real scary like beginning to the season where we're just struggling. We're creating, we're playing well, but the results aren't coming. And we know that we have an owner who is very hair trigger. Obviously, it's been a bit different this season because he's not nearly as involved with the club, and there's no board to really fire Deitch anyways. But it was a real it was just this really pit in your stomach, like how is the season going to go? And then you win a few games of the balance, and we have this big winless run, which is another huge low point, really tough to be. And one of the things that makes it more intolerable when we have these times where we don't play well is that the fans really get themselves riled up about it. I love Evertonians, I always will, but we so often become this really toxic reactionary fan base when things aren't going our way. And it becomes really hard to be, and you see people say it all the time, I got to take a break from Twitter, I got to do this, I got to get away. You just got to get away and unplug. We have like it really becomes a point where we have to, because the echo chamber of negativity that we contain, we say this like every week, but the echo chamber of negativity that we exist in as Evertonians sometimes when things aren't going our way is really tough.
Yeah, I'll stop you from your rant on that. If you haven't heard Forrest on our last live show, you can watch it on YouTube, or you can go listen to it on a podcast. He gave a nice long speech, which was great, and I agreed, obviously, but we can't talk about that every week.
All right, fine. Next question. This is from our overlord at the Toffee Blues. We pray to him. What are your thoughts on Amadou Onana this season and overall his time at Everton? I would answer this one first.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Love it when you answer questions
age
first.
before beauty.
That's very sweet.
Yes, I'm old.
I know.
Amadou Onana has been totally underwhelming this season. Sorry. He's just not been good enough. I don't think he's had a string of good performances. I don't think there's a single facet of his game that really stands out. Maybe that's because we don't play a style that really suits him, because we don't typically play through our midfield very much. We're very much playing these balls over the top. But I do not think that he really fits into this Everton squad. And he's not been able to really adapt his game to fit into the squad either. It is what it is. We bought him as an asset and something that we were always going to sell at the end of we were always going to sell at the end of the day. And as long as, when he decides to move on, which will probably be this summer, as long as we get the amount of money that we need for him, whatever that is, 50, 60 million, I would say that his time at Everton was good enough that he was able to be sold and go on and help this club out when we needed to be helped out.
That's a good answer. I think we've touched on him a few times the last few weeks.
Thank you, Richo.
Lots of agreement. I think he has had good moments. I think they've been further and few between this season than previous. But yeah, I liked what you said he's not the player that you think you sign, and he's gonna be at Everton for long. Yeah. Like many years. Move him on. I'm not upset about moving him on. Like you said,
he's not Jared Branthwaite.
No, he's not. Or Jordan Pickford, who I hope
stays as
well. But yes,
I can. I know we mentioned that he might. I mentioned him as somebody I would see moving on before Branthwaite, but that's just because I want the younger asset.
Yeah.
I know that Pickford shouldn't move on. He's really probably far more important than Branthwaite is at the end of the day, because he is a player who has single-handedly kept us in so many games before Branthwaite was even starting. So
yeah.
And it's nice, and there's been some, and I will mention this, there's been some nice moments in the media the past week or two where people
Yes.
have come to bat for Jordan Pickford, and that's great, because too often the media will jump on him just because of that incident with Van Dijk. People like to just sit there and hound on him and paint him as this player that he's not, which is a player that makes a lot of mistakes. He's not a player that makes a lot of mistakes. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. He's a great leader. And I always, and I'll just, this is a small rant, whenever a pundit likes to be like, well, why is he yelling as a defender? If I was a defender for Jordan Pickford, I'd never play for him. It's like, are you kidding me? Well, then get the hell, like, you played in like the 70s and 80s when people were putting their studs into the side of your knee and you're getting up and walking from it. And you're going to get mad because your goalkeeper's yelling at you. Whatever. I'm not going to.
Not here for that. Not here for that at all. The one thing I would say, yes, I have loved how, there's lots of people in the media who, I mean, he was in Jamie Carragher's team of the week or team of the year, which was great. Even, I mean, Gary Neville on Monday Night Football also stepped up and said, like, hey, I've been really like on him the last few seasons. But the one thing that just grinds my gears is that they have constantly said, after giving all this praise, they've then said, for a team fighting relegation. And it's like, we shouldn't be. I mean, you take the points away, whatever. But, like, that's the only reason we're down there. I mean, it's not like we're soaring and flying up in the top half of the table, but what is it, like 22 points? If we had our points back, how far away we would be from relegation? It's something like that, where it's like
we would have been safe weeks ago, basically. Yeah, we would have been fine.
We wouldn't even have been in a conversation.
For top half. Right, exactly. Yeah. We would have been relaxing for weeks now.
Anyway, that's my rant, is that there's always that statement of, as they've been fighting relegation, it's like, whatever.
I like that emotion. All right, I think we have one more question from Dean. Who do we think will sign the window, and who do we think will leave? Dean, I wish I had specific players I could give you. I think Josh Brownhill is one that I think will end up happening, because he's played with Dyche before, Burnley product, etc. I think that's, and then will be good midfield cover and a cheap midfield option as well. I do think that we will end up signing Jack Harrison. I don't think Leeds are going to come up. And I just think he's a player that probably has more to say on this Everton team and his Everton career, which is fine. It's good that we bring him in. I think the main things become now, where are we going to address the other issues in the squad, which is, where is our attacking talent going to be? Danjuma is going to leave, and he was a player that played a big role this season. So it's going to be, a point of, we need to find some players that can really have some pace, first and foremost, because we are a very, very slow team. Have some pace that can play well in place of Harrison and in place of McNeil, and offer something different for this squad. And then we need some midfield options that's, with Onan. And by the way, who I think will leave will be Onan and Branthwaite. I think they will both leave. It sucks. I hate it. In an ideal world, it would just be Onana leaving, but I do think they'll both leave, because we just need the money. We just don't, and we need the money. Even if we get bought, we just need the money. It sucks. I don't think either one will really push for a move, unless somebody that they really want to play for comes in. I don't know who that would be for either of them, but I can't imagine either one like refusing to play or refusing to train. I don't think they're those kind of players, but I do think they'll both leave. They'll both get a move. Yeah, I wish I could pull another name out of the hat in terms of who we would sign. I can't, though.
Yeah, I don't have too many names for who we would sign. I have started to get the feeling the last few days that Dom will be on his way out, which
really
makes me sad. I just have this. Yeah, I have this little subtle. I don't know.
Why?
He's open to a move. I feel like that's fairly.
How do you know he's open to a move?
Just reading things, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my gut just is like, he's gonna move on. which makes me sad. I would love him to not move on, but there's this part of me, whether it's reading things on Twitter and whatnot, but
you're gonna have to send me some stuff that you've read that make you think that, because I'd like to see and read into that too. I'm gonna ask our source about that too, see what he has to say.
Yeah, I would love.
Yeah,
I would love to hear what his thoughts are on it. But I don't think he will necessarily ask for a move. Maybe he will. I don't know. I could see him asking for a move. There's just this part of me that's like,
I hope not.
I think he could go. I hope not as well. But
the reason I don't think he will is because I think he really enjoys playing for Everton and really enjoys the role that comes with being Everton's number 9. He's come out and said that. But I will say this: if it's a choice between Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Jared Branthwaite, I'm keeping Branthwaite every day. So if we can sell Dom and keep Jared, then you know what, we'll do that. I will be able to live with that. I would hate to see him leave because he's finally found that level again. This second half of the season, he's found that energy, he's found that passion.
Yep.
But I'd be really sad to see him go too. He has, Richo, by the way, Deitch has done a fantastic job. You're absolutely right. He's definitely done what he's needed to do as a manager. He's been able to block out the noise, been able to he's very impressive in the way that he addresses issues without making them bigger. I can compare him to somebody like Ange at Tottenham, who doesn't really quite address issues in a very mature professional way, where he just kind of starts yelling about like with the whole thing with Tottenham and City today, where he's getting really pissed off with these supporters not supporting the team. And it's kind of like, hey man, just why are you even talking about that? Just focus on the game. Don't even let that, because he's it's just ignore that. That is noise that you don't need. And unfortunately for Tottenham, he didn't, that he kind of leaned into that too much. Whereas Deitch is like, you know what, we're going to focus on what we can control. And I think that makes him a fantastic manager. I totally agree with you. Well, I don't think we have much more to talk about. Quinn, do you have any closing remarks?
I am thankful to be going into the last game of the season. Ready to just watch football.
Watch the Euros this summer?
Yes.
Who do you think wins the Euros?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, I haven't put much thought into that statement. I think France is obviously the team.
England.
To beat. Yeah, but I would love to see England win, obviously.
Yeah,
and I will throw this little left fielder out there. I would love to see Albania break some hearts in their group stage. I don't think
she's only saying that because she's been to Albania before.
I have many times, but I still stand by it. I would love to see them win some games and for the first time really compete.
Cool.
In European. Anyway, so there's my little.
I'd love to see England win it. I'd love to see Jared Branthwaite be a part of that. Mostly because then I think, again, I think I've said it before, but Branthwaite getting these opportunities while he's still at Everton is really important, because that means he can still play at Everton and get these opportunities. So that is all we have for tonight. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. And again, we really love the engagement. I'm sitting here like, what am I trying to think of? The engagement, the interaction. We love talking with y'all. We love the questions. Please continue to watch. It's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 1 a.m. in the UK. And the fact that y'all are on here listening to us at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. now is just fantastic. Keep it up. I'm gonna go drink some tequila, and I'm off for the next 2 days. And next week is commissioning week for the Naval Academy, which is a crazy busy week for me. By the way, there is a possibility we might not have a show next week. It kind of depends on how my schedule changes. If we don't, we'll let you know ahead of time. Don't worry. We sure will. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Have a good night. And up the Toffees, up the Toffees! Everton, Everton, Everton. Oh, my voice is breaking.